Bantam Doubleday Dell Audio Publishing presents Star Wars, Wedge's Gamble, Book 2 of the X-Wing series by Michael A. Stackpole. Even before his X-Wing sensors had time to scan and identify the new ship, Corran Horn knew it was trouble. That knowledge was not based on the ship's unscheduled reversion to real space in the Pyrea system. In the months since the Rebel Alliance took the planet Borleus from the Empire, more ships than Corran cared to remember had popped in for a quick survey of the place. Some were on diplomatic missions from worlds that had already joined the New Republic. Others had been sent by the rulers of planets who wanted to separate fact from propaganda before they decided if they wanted to shift allegiances in the galactic civil war. Others had been Imperial vessels on reconnaissance missions, and a goodly proportion of the rest were Alliance ships with legitimate business in the system. All of them had to be checked out, but the patrols had produced no serious incidents or fatalities. This spawned a complacency among the pilots that was not conducive to long life. But even Corran had found it hard to keep his edge when no serious threats presented themselves. The arrival of this new ship, Vengeance Dara 4, slashed away his peace of mind like a vibroblade. The sensors reported a modified freight cruiser that had entered the system on the course and at the speed the rebels had dictated for freighter traffic. But during his brief career hunting smugglers and other criminals in the Corellian security force, Corran had learned to trust his gut feelings. His father and his grandfather, both Corsac officers themselves, had encouraged him to follow his instincts in dangerous situations. Corran keyed his comm unit. Rogue 9 to Champion 5. Wait here with 6. I'm going to do a flyby.
I copy 9, but they aren't in the challenge zone yet.
Humor me, 5. The system patrols had been broken up to cover 4 zones around Borleus. Corran and 2 Y-Wing pilots from Defender Wing had by far the busiest sector. Whistler, see what you can do about boosting our sensors to pick up any anomalous readings from that freighter. The green and white R2 astromech droid splashed a report onto Corran's primary monitor. The freighter was a Rendili Star Drive design. It shipped roughly 1,500 metric tons of equipment, ran with a crew of 400, and had 9 quad lasers as well as 1 tractor beam that could pull salvage into the belly storage area.
Champion 5 here, Rogue 9.
Go ahead, 5.
I challenged the Vengeance and it answered with a code that is good.
Did they get it on the first try? 5's comm unit didn't filter the surprise out of his voice.
No, second pass, why?
I'll tell you later. Stay where you are, but get someone to lift from Borleus in an assault shuttle. You and 6 be ready for trouble.
As ordered, 9.
Corran read Whistler's question on the monitor. Yes. I think it's exactly like the double-taker case. Back on Corellia, he and his partner, Ayala Wasiri, had investigated a series of burglaries in houses where there were no signs of forced entry. The key to cracking the case was discovering that the ROMs used in the security systems all came from the same manufacturer. When a particular password was used on the locks, the system would spit out the correct password. On the second try, the thief would enter the correct code, get in, and rob the place. Corran punched his comm unit over to the frequency the freighter was using. Vengeance Dara 4, this is Lieutenant Corran Horn of Rogue Squadron. Stop now. Stand by for boarding. The freighter did not even slow, much less stop.
Is there a problem, Lieutenant?
Corran sent a quad burst of red laser fire across the ship's bow. Vengeance, stand by for boarding. There will only be a problem if you make one. The freighter began to roll to port, exposing its top towards Corran's ship. 5 and 6, link proton torpedoes on the freighter.
9, they've done nothing.
Yet, 5. Yet. Swinging up and around from the belly of Vengeance, 4 TIE starfighters raced in towards Corrin's X-Wing.
9, do you see the 2 TIE bombers coming in behind the eyeballs?
5. Fire on the Vengeance, then take the dupes. I've got the eyeballs. Let Borleus Base know we have trouble. Corrin knew the Y-Wings would have little trouble outflying the Dukes, pilot slang for the double-hulled bombers. If he could keep the TIEs, or eyeballs, occupied, they wouldn't be in any position to harass the Y-Wings. He dove into a long loop that took him down to where Vengeance's bulk hid him from the TIEs. Rolling his ship and applying some rudder, he arrowed straight in at the freighter. This put him in position to watch as the quartet of proton torpedoes launched by the Y-Wings exploded against the shields like a star-going nova. Corrin sent a quad burst of fire toward the ship's bridge. Without waiting to see if it hit, he barrel-rolled, moving toward the middle of the freighter. An eyeball streaked over the freighter's edge and right into his sights. Corrin triggered a quad shot that caught the eyeball on the port side, slicing the hexagon into a dozen or more pieces. Adding a bit more to the starboard roll and pulling back on the stick again took him out past the ship's damaged bow and let him swoop in on the tail of another TIE. He fired twice, and an explosion blew the fighter apart. 5, report.
1 dupe dead, 1 sleeping. 9, the freighter is turning to run. Do you want help with the eyeballs?
Negative 5. It's not that I think I'm that good, Whistler, it's that I know they aren't. Refusing help when outnumbered by enemies was usually ascribed to egotism or terminal stupidity. But Corrin had a third reason. The Y-Wing pilots, while enthusiastic and decently trained, were insufficiently experienced in dogfighting to be much help. If they entered the fight, he'd have to worry about hitting them. 5, hang off there and try for torp locks on the TIEs. Glancing at his sensor displays, he marked the position of the Y-Wing, then rolled and dove. Angry green laser bolts slashed through the blackness in front of him, but neither of the TIE's shots hit. The 2 eyeballs looped up and around, then rolled through their double helix maneuver. And Corrin shot through the center of their spiral. He cut in front of one, inviting a hastily snapped shot. The TIE pilot took it, splashing lasers against the X-Wing's aft shield. Corrin reinforced the rear shield, then climbed back out onto his original course. He popped in behind the TIE that had been on his tail and took a shot. The TIE starfighter began to whirl away, but it never exploded. It would be an easy target to follow and finish. But the last TIE sprayed laser fire against the X-Wing's shields, providing Corrin with a more immediate threat. Then a bank of lights started flashing on the fighter's command console. Sith spawn. My shields are down. Whistler, get the shields back up fast! A counter appeared on his main screen and began counting down from 1.5 minutes. He punched the throttle to full and pushed the fighter through a series of twists and loops that carried it away from the TIE, but no closer to the Y-Wings. The TIE pilot seemed content to circle around, trying to close with Corrin. Then he broke off and streaked in toward the Y-Wings, coming up from beneath them. Heads up, 5, you have incoming! The Y-Wings executed the flip in good order as Corrin closed the gap with the eyeball.
9, I have missile lock.
Shoot, 6, shoot! The Y-Wing let a proton torpedo go at point-blank range, but it shot past the eyeball and would have hit the X-Wing had Corrin not rolled fast. Break outside, champions! The Y-Wing pilots complied with Corrin's order, but did so slowly. The TIE spun in on Champion 5, pouring verdant laser bolts into its shields. Corrin eased back on his stick, millimeter by millimeter centering the Imperial fighter on his targeting crosshairs. Behind me? Who? Corrin hit his trigger, tracking ruby energy darts along the TIE's flight path. Even as he saw his lasers hit the eyeball's wings and cockpit, he braced for the other TIE's lasers to burn through his ship. He prepared himself for nothingness. He was not wholly disappointed. Nothing happened. Corrin rolled left and climbed. Find him, Whistler. What about Vengeance? Whistler reported it had gone to light speed. 5, 6, what happened to the other eyeball?
I got him, 9.
With what, 6?
Sample complete. Ready to continue?